and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice crowd. What a good-looking group of people. Well, we have some very, very good news today, and a lot of good things are happening for our country. Please sit down. My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. We're going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy. For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steelworkers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen, we have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple. Can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where are you, J.D.? No, that wasn't too hard to find. I was looking, you know, he likes to take a low-key attitude, so it'd usually be sitting right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike, isn't he? And nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job. And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7. And 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job, and many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on foreign trade barriers, and I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's very, frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles. The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that, friend and foe, and in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame these other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and past leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen, and they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles. Thank you. Brian, I'd like to have you come up here for a second, okay? I just see him sitting. He's been a fan of ours, and he understands this business a lot better than the economists, a lot better than anybody. Brian, say a few words, please, would you?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
It's a great honor to have you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I grew up just north of Detroit, Michigan, in Macomb County, known as the home of the Reagan Democrats. My first vote for president was for Ronald Reagan. I thought that was going to be the best president I ever saw in my lifetime until Donald J. Trump came along. I have watched my entire life, I have watched plant after plant after plant in Detroit and in the Metro Detroit area close. There are now plants sitting idle. There are now plants that are underutilized, and Donald Trump's policies are going to bring product back into those underutilized plants. There's going to be new investment. There's going to be new plants built. And the UAW members, and I brought 20 of them with me, they're sitting right over here. We support Donald Trump's policies on tariffs 100%. So, Mr. President, we can't thank you enough. And in 6 months or a year, we're going to begin to see the benefits. I can't wait to see what's happening 3 or 4 years down the road. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Thank you. What a great guy. He got it right from the beginning. He got it before almost anybody else. This group over there, they got it too. And, you know, we won the state of Michigan. We won almost all of them. But we won Michigan by a lot, and I want to just thank you all. The auto workers were fantastic. The Teamsters were fantastic. Everyone was pretty good, I will tell you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're going to be very happy very soon, and you probably see what's happening with all of the, not only car companies, but car companies in particular. You see it with all of the ones they're moving, they're announcing day in, day out. You're seeing it. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. With today's actions, we're also standing up for our great farmers and ranchers who are brutalized by nations all over the world. Brutalized. Canada, by the way, imposes a 250 to 300% tariff on many of our dairy products. They do the first can of milk. They do the first little carton of milk at a very low price, but after that it gets bad, and then it gets up to 275, 300%. So when they're figuring what's Canada charging, they say, oh, about 2%, 3%. But take a look at what happens down the road. When you look a little bit, it's not a pretty picture, and we don't like it, and it's not fair. It's not fair to our farmers. It's not fair to our country. And with countries like Canada, you know, we subsidize a lot of countries and keep them going and keep them in business. In the case of Mexico, it's $300 billion a year. In the case of Canada, it's close to $200 billion a year. And I say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, at what point do we say you got to work for yourselves, and you got to, this is why we have the big deficits. This is why we have that amount of debt that's been placed on our heads over the last number of years, and we're really not taking it anymore. Through non-tariff barriers, the European Union bans imports of most American poultry. You understand? They say, we want to send you our cars, we want to send you everything, but we're not going to take anything that you have. Australia bans, and they're wonderful people and wonderful everything, but they ban American beef, yet we imported $3 billion of Australian beef from them just last year alone. They won't take any of our beef. They don't want it because they don't want it to affect their farmers. And you know what? I don't blame them, but we're doing the same thing right now, starting about midnight tonight, I would say. And China charges American rice farmers an overquota, it's called, a tariff rate of 65%. South Korea charges 50, actually they charge different, from 50% to 513%. And Japan, our friend, charges us 700%. But that's because they don't want us selling rice and other things. Who can blame them, Madam Secretary? Agriculture, great job you did on eggs, by the way. The egg prices came down 50%. You got them down 50%. Once we got involved, they were going through the sky. The egg prices, they were going through the sky, and you did a fantastic job. Now we have lots of eggs, and they're much cheaper, down about 59% now, and they're going down further. We charge 2.8% for so many things that other countries are charging 200%, 300%, and 400% for. If imposing tariffs and protective barriers made nations poor, then every country on earth would be racing to eliminate these policies, and China would be the first on line. They run a very strong country, but they're not first in line, and the American people are paying a very big price. From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay, and then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first, and I'm sorry to say that. And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first. In Sleepy Joe Biden's last year in office, the United States hemorrhaged 100,000 manufacturing jobs, and the number was going through the roof at levels never seen before. And our trade deficit reached a record $1.2 trillion, which is unheard of. Since the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made, it was a horror show. I was able to terminate it. They all said you'd never be able to get it out. We had to get approval from Congress to get it terminated. We had to live with that deal. It was the worst trade deal ever made by far. But since the very beginning of NAFTA, our country lost 90,000 factories. Think of what that is, 90,000. Think about putting a map up and putting text on it. You wouldn't have enough room. 90,000. I said, is that possible? We had it checked 4 different times, and it was actually somewhat higher than that. And 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost while racking up trade deficits of $19 trillion. That was the worst trade deal ever made. As a result of these gigantic losses, foreign nations now own $26 trillion more of American assets than think of this, than the Americans own of their own foreign assets or other foreign assets. The United States can no longer produce enough antibiotics to treat our sick. We have a tremendous problem. We have to go to foreign countries to treat our sick. If anything ever happened from a war standpoint, we wouldn't be able to do it. We import virtually all of our computers, phones, televisions, and electronics. We used to dominate the field, and now we import it all from different countries. A single shipyard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people, very kind. You're not so kind when you got ripped off with your salaries. My auto worker friends and my Teamster friends and all of the unions that typically voted Democrat, they're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the Republicans now. That's what happened. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So The tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually. They're coming in from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough. Great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, you know, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left. He's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades. And it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China and charged them. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs. And they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand. And the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. Trade is not fair. He said, I know that, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left on the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. You know, we're paying them billions of dollars, and we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it. Brazil, 10%, 10%. Bangladesh is 74%. So you see what's going on. Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. So what we're doing is we're taking Not the full. We could take the full 88%. Thanks a lot, Harold. He's doing a very good job. How's he doing, all right? I think you better take it with you. It's not going to last very long. He's going to put it, it's going to follow you down with the wind. I brought a hat just in case it got too windy, but here, would anybody like a hat? I'm not giving it to a cabinet. I'm giving it to the auto workers. Come here. Thank you, fellas. Get it. That's it. That's it. They deserve it more than our cabinet. Our cabinet has plenty of hats. But you see the numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart. And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. So we're going to have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be very severe on the people that at the gate that watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at the gate because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity, and there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do play. We're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept. To any company that objects to our common sense reciprocal tariffs, again, reciprocal, back and forth, back and forth. And I call this kind reciprocal. This is not full reciprocal. This is kind reciprocal. But what we do is we cut it in half. We charge them. My answer is very simple if they complain. If you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product right here in America, because there is no tariff if you build your plant, your product in America. And we've seen companies coming in like we've never seen before. Likewise to all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else who will soon be calling to ask for exemptions from these tariffs. I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like nobody can even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us, and start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm, and many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before, and it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward, and Brian, it's going to happen even faster than you said. You know, you might say, but it's already started. It's already started. Work's already begun on plants all around the country, and you see that as before. These are big, rich companies. We have $61 billion started on a big plant going up. It's going to be announced over the next 2 days, and they already started work. Many of these the biggest companies in the world, they've committed to build, build, build. We're going to build, 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 sir. And they came here to see me, and they wanted to know if they could have a press conference. I do as many as I can. I'm pretty busy trying to stop Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. We got to stop that. We got to stop the Houthis, which we're making tremendous. They like shooting ships down and out of the water, sinking ships. They get a kick out of it, but they're not getting such a kick out of it now, are they, Mr. Secretary? They're not getting such a kick out of that now. But here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment. And this is a company that built its factories and its plants in China. Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the way they're not paying it is to build their plant here. So we're going to go from almost no percentage. We used to have 100% of the chip market. Now it's all in Taiwan. Almost all of it's in Taiwan, a couple of other countries, but mostly in Taiwan. And think of it, we had 100%. We lost it because of people in that office that didn't do their job. They allowed it to be stolen from us. Johnson & Johnson, great company, $55 billion. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Meta is investing $500 billion. Wow. DeMac is investing $20 billion. CMA, CGM, $20 billion. And then you have Merck and Clarios, Stellantis, General Motors, GE Aerospace, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai are all putting in billions and billions of dollars, and they're committed 100%. So. And we've never had, and this is after 2.5 months. This is after just a short, this all took place as soon as we came out with what everybody wanted to do. You know, I watched a gentleman today on television, used to work with Lee Iacocca, a very respected automobile person, and he said, you know, because they were asking people, and they try and get as many negative people as they can, but they can't find them too much. It's pretty hard to find in terms of what we're doing, especially when they see all this investment. They said, so tell me, what do you think of what Trump is doing from the automobile standpoint? He said, I can't believe it. Somebody is finally, he's an older guy, real pro, really top guy, with Lee Iacocca. He said, I never thought I'd see the day when this would happen, where somebody had the courage to go and do what has to be done. This is transforming our nation. Our entire nation is going to be transformed, not only with the cars, but on every single other item that's built. We're going to become an industrial powerhouse. And he said that so beautifully today. In fact, I'm going to find out, I'm going to get a tape, and Bruce, I'm going to get that tape, and I'm going to send it to you out in Long Island, and you're going to play it for the people. And all your union workers and your non-union workers out there, you got a pretty even split. But we have, so far, it looks like we're going to have about $6 trillion of investments, and you wouldn't do that in years in this country over the last number of years. $6 trillion, and that's going to be much higher by the end of the year. And think of what $6 trillion is. You wouldn't have even a small percentage of that under this other system. We're going to be an entirely different country, and it's going to be fantastic for the workers. It's going to be fantastic for everyone. There will never have been a transformation of a country like the transformation that's already happening in the United States of America. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's incredible to meet with the top people, people that you read about, very wealthy people, or people that are great managers and executives and presidents of big public companies, and to watch the enthusiasm they have now that they didn't have. They gave up on our country. They went to foreign countries and they built. Companies are pouring into our country at levels never seen before, with jobs and money to follow, and it's really beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, the fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, you know, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but, and they're going to fight, and they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like, I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away. And maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants, and I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them in there. This is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You'd have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to #1 in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, like let's say in the first hour, and then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, "Oh no, don't do this." What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble, because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it looked like I was going to win, I announced that I was going to be doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years, but because I saw what was happening 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome, my old speeches, and that people would say I'd be on a television show, I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by these countries. I mean, nothing changes very much. The only thing that changed were the countries, but nothing really changes. But it's why it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term, hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions, so much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship with China. You know what the relationship was? He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big, that they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but they couldn't do it because the numbers were hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did that. And we were on our way to doing something like incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a very bad election. A lot of bad things happened. So when I said we got to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig. And we made it too big to rig, and we won in records, and it was a monumental win. And it was such an honor to see so many of you, like Brian and your friends, here with us to celebrate, and to more importantly celebrate what we're doing, because that wouldn't be a full celebration if we didn't do this, because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the very tired predictions earlier this year, but in February, core inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years, and the price of eggs, as you know, just in a month and a half, we were there for 4 weeks, and the first week I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got here. They said eggs have gone up at like 250%, and you can't get eggs. And they were going crazy. And I said, I just got here. And then we got to work on eggs, and we got to work on everything. And our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job. Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to, and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it in the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof. And I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot. And energy costs now are down, groceries are down, gasoline is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs, and it was that took place in 1 month, numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years. But after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history of our country. They're the highest inflation in the history of our country, brought up by energy and bad spending and bad policy, and a lot of bad things happened. How about allowing millions and millions and millions of people to pour into our country with open borders, where it's so sad to see even now. And I see our great secretary you have done. Stand up, please, Christy. Stand up. Christy Noem. And Tom Homan. These people are doing a great job, but gotten them out in records. We have problems with judges that don't want them to go out. They want Tren de Aragua, and they want MS-13, the most vicious gangs ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Absolute killer gangs. They kill people. They don't even think about it. And we put them out, and we have judges now, radical left judges that they don't want them to go out. They want them to even be brought back. Let's bring them back. You've done a fantastic job, and please thank everybody. Homeland Security, thank everybody. Appreciate it. And we now have a border that's the best border that we've ever had, even better than it was my first term. My first term we did good, but this one we really specialized in. We've done really well. And we had records then. We had the best, safest border. 4 years ago, we had the best border there ever was. And now we have, you've actually matched it and done even better. And we're going to get it down the right way. And we want people, by the way, to come into our country, but we want to come in through a legal process. We want them to come in legally. We need more people. We need people to run these plants and to help the auto workers and the Teamsters and the non-union people and everybody else. But we need people, and the farmers. And we're going to let people come in, but they want to come in. We want them to come in legally. They have to have the capability of loving our country, not people that hate our country. We don't want them in our country. And now we're going to pass the largest tax cuts in American history, and that's where we're relying on Mike and John Thune. And we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, and the Democrats will, because if they got in, the entire economy would collapse. This country was heading for a collapse under the people that you saw. They were horrible. I think one of the reasons people like the job, I have my highest approval ratings because I think they're comparing me to the worst administration in the history of our country, so I appreciate that at least. But Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader, appreciate it, Mike. John Thune have been fantastic, by the way. But they've been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our one big, beautiful bill. I'd like to name it that if you can. One big, beautiful. I made that statement about 6 months ago, and everybody calls it one big, beautiful bill. And it will be that. It'll have everything, the big tax cuts and every incentive there is. And it'll be fantastic. And by the way, for the cars, we're asking for an interest deduction on a loan. So if you build the car, only in America we do it, Brian. If the car's not built in America, you don't get the interest rate deduction. But if you build the car in America, if you buy a car, if it's built in America, then you get an interest rate deduction, tax deduction, and that's a big thing. That's going to be a big thing. I think that's going to pay for itself very quickly, that deduction. Never happened. We've never had anything like that before. Somebody said, where do you get the idea? Because it's so basic. You would think that would have happened a long time ago. It never did, and I'm very happy it didn't, because now I can say that was my idea. But we're going to get us closer to the debt extension. We have to get the debt extension passed, and I know you're going to be able to do that, Mike, and it's very important that you do that. And all of the other things that the Senate budget plan gives us, along with working, because I know they're working together, John and Mike, and the two bills are going very well together. We need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts. We want the tax cuts to be permanent, spending cuts, energy and historic investments in defense, border, and so much more. We're covering everything. These will be phenomenal. There'll be no bill like this going to straighten. One bill is going to straighten out our country for many, many years to come. And we said, let's just do it and let's get it done. And some guys will love it and some guys will like it a little bit less because they're not getting what they were exactly looking for, but they're getting a lot. They'll never, if we get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress and Senate and congressmen, the senators and the congressmen, many of whom are here today, will be very proud of themselves. I really believe that it's going to set us on a whole new prosperous path. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. We're going to do that very strongly. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. John, thank you. Oh, look at all of our senators over there. Oh, boy. That's a nice group of people. But I won't like them so much if they don't get this bill done. That's a great group. And Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tremendous people. The Senate plan is my complete and total support, and the House plan likewise is very similar. They're moving along pretty much at the same clip, and as soon as you're ready, you'll show it to me, and I'm sure it'll have my support, Mike. Every Republican congressman and senator must unify. We have to unify. We can't be separated. We have to get it done. We have to get absolutely everything we can, and we have to take care of the American people. That's the only thing that matters. We have to take care of the American people first. We need to pass this bill immediately, get it done, including debt extension. From this day on, we're not going to let anyone tell us that American workers and families cannot have the future that they deserve. We're going to produce the cars and ships, chips, airplanes, minerals, and medicines that we need right here in America. The pharmaceutical companies are going to become roaring back. They're coming roaring back. They're all coming back to our country because if they don't, they got a big tax to pay. And if they do, I'll be very happy, and you're going to be very happy, and you're going to be very safe. We're going to build our future with American hands, with American heart, American steel, and we're going to build it with American pride like we used to. We're approaching our 100th day as president and have been given credit by a lot of people, actually, even some of the fake news. Can you believe it? Which in this case hopefully isn't fake, for having done more in that time than any other administration in the history of our country in the first 100 days. I think we've had an amazing, in terms of what we've done, what we've gotten accomplished. I'd like to see if we can get that war ended and another war from not starting in the Middle East. We have to get Russia. They're losing 2,000 on average, 2,500 people a day, young people, soldiers, Russian. Think of that. 2,500 through some days, but on average, probably over about a 1 week period, it's 2,712, they say. They're losing those soldiers. They're dying. They're being decimated. And they're not from our country, but they're from other countries, but they're human beings. They're from Russia. They're from Ukraine in this period, most of them. And we're going to get it stopped. It's a senseless war that would have never happened if I was president, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And I think we're being given good cooperation by Russia and by Ukraine, but we have to get it stopped. It's humanity. It's humanity. It's a terrible thing. This will be a very big moment. I think you're going to remember today. It's going to be a free nation that we're dealing with. We're going to have a very free and beautiful nation. It's going to be Liberation Day in America, and it's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right. This has turned out to be one of the most important days in the history of our country. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
is what's referred to as the de minimis loophole with respect to imports from the U.S.
Not even Hail Mary.
The other is the big one, is the reciprocal tariff executive order that the president just spoke about at length. This is obviously a huge deal, and it's been an honor to be part of the team getting started.
Mr. President, what will you do if the EU or other countries retaliate? What will you do if other countries retaliate?
President, can Elon hurt your business in Wisconsin?
aside relief.
और कॉर्ड भी लेकर ये कॉर्डलेस है क्या?
20% was basically their worst case scenario. 25% was the worst case scenario that we heard EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen talking about just a couple of hours ago, saying that Europe would have to react or retaliate. I've heard from the source that if the number had been lower, if that baseline 10% tariff had been what had been hit with, potentially they might have let it slide. But this now bigger number of 20% will likely cause some kind of retaliation. Of course, the EU was hinted at that previously. They mentioned about putting a tariff on bourbon from the United States at 50%. Famously, Donald Trump then responded saying, well, if we tax bourbon at 50%, we're going to put a 200% tariff on wine and champagne. So we've heard some the beginning of some rumblings here. Of course, this is a very tense and delicate moment between the EU and the United States, because of course the war in Ukraine is still going on, and the United States is a pivotal partner and a pivotal role in the negotiation and hopeful ceasefire agreement that they will be trying to put in the next couple of weeks. So the numbers really
What you call them? Don't talk. What do you think it was?
You'll never remember. I'm not going to see you again. I'm not going to tell anybody. I don't know who you are.
Pero es solo la base, porque luego hay una serie de países a los que el presidente ha llamado los peores enemigos del comercio de Estados Unidos. Entre ellos, tienes un país, de hecho figura como la segunda, la Unión Europea figura como
Israel in the last few hours saying that they are going to lower the tariffs that they put on EU goods, US goods. I must say, you on the whole, we've seen the White House official leader to Donald Trump. And they said effectively it was too little too late. Yes, it was nice that now we're trying to
Can't have anybody here named Travis. How you doing, brother? Good. Another day. Good to see you. Yeah, you too. Yeah, Gary, some of your number. I was going to text you to see if you're out here this week.
I was at the actually non-tariff barriers as well. And they stressed that it is those things that will
el 10% es la base, una base que dispara a los países que disponibilizan
everybody
hay países que no
barriers.
It
was when I called this
Gibraltar,
negotiation. They said that there is still room for negotiation, but they said it's actually a national emergency. The White House very line.
Israel, que ha quitado muchos de los
They see this as a very desperate
considera que
the American
We got to sell these
¿Por qué? Algo muy importante que no está mucho la infraestructura y que duran esta etapa y que nos llamada conferencia previa es que para imponer estos aranceles y para considerar que la Unión Europea tiene un 39%, no solo basta con esos aranceles que podamos imponer nosotros a productos importados desde Estados Unidos, cuentan también cosas complicadas, como los subsidios, como los fondos que da la Unión Europea, como los sistema dumping, que es vender más barato para liberarse de y bueno,
I think, like many things,
y hay países que se ganan Tailandia,
36%. And the Republicans say that this is going to be a
just pictures and then
one of the frustrated a few days ago came in a fire saying that this was going to be the biggest tax cut in American history. So they kind of depend on who but the right side of that right I didn't know if anyone else
y él considera que los mercados vayan a tener una manera y aunque que está haciendo esto por los efectos del hecho. Es decir, te está posicionando lo vamos a pasar mal de todo esto. Que el acompañador te voy a enseñar, mira contigo aquí, porque esto es una persona que hoy es, hay un bullicio tremendo, pero quiero que explique cómo
budget lab at Yale University of Jason Ross, the vice president, and they said that the worst case scenario
también diputados ayer una diputada conocida que se llama Marjorie Taylor Greene, but it's also una entrevista, o sea, se ha hecho acompañar por gente muy destacada en el Partido Republicano y también por esos empleados de la oposición y de las grandes automotrices para lanzar el mensaje de que lo que le importa es la gente que tiene menos recursos, que se ha visto más afectada por esto. Es un cierre total de una estrategia de comercio y neoliberalismo que ha imperado en Washington. Él lo vende como un día histórico en positivo, pero desde luego es un día que completamente
Can I help you before I go? She told me if
like Vietnam, and they will pay a higher rate so it is likely that we'll see the cost of things increase again in the United States, and it's going to see whether that affects the Republicans' effect on Trump. Of course, midterms are still just over a year and a half away.
Desde luego es importante que él no esté escuchando a los mercados.
No worries about that. Okay.
Que nos equivocamos.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Que
all right.
Había una recesión cuando incluso nosotros que no sucedió así. Pero que le da igual que él va a imponer estos aranceles que no son negociables. Ese 10% que vaya después añadido a ellos no va a ser que le dé igual lo que hagamos. Esto corrimos en el riesgo de que haya seriamente que no haya una recesión a partir de ahora. Es que también hay asesores de Trump que dicen que vamos por una recesión. Lo hemos hablado otra vez. Sobre lo de Elon Musk, lo ha publicado el medio político, lo ha desmentido la portavoz de la Casa Blanca. Yo estas noticias con fuentes anónimas que publican medios aquí las cogería con pinzas, porque Elon Musk como empleado especial del gobierno de Estados Unidos solo puede trabajar sin ser confirmado por el Senado. Eso es la ley necesaria. Y él ya dijo que se iba a ir cuando hubiera acabado, y él lo considera acabado en 2026. 250 aniversario de Estados Unidos, y él quería marcharse. No creo que haya ningún cambio grande sobre la que más. Bueno, va a ser un periodo de ustedes de los análisis que van a entrar en vigor este 5 de abril hasta el 9 de abril. Algún margen de maniobra va a haber, pero desde luego ese 20% para la no es negociable. También es importante destacar cómo nos afecta a España esto, porque España tiene déficit comercial con Estados Unidos. España compra más a Estados Unidos de lo que le vende, por lo tanto tendríamos que estar exentos de todo esto, ¿no? Pero aquí está.
All right. It is a madhouse. faculty is ready to teach tonight.
Es lo que él busca. Él busca que sea más caro comercio, que sea más caro importar. ¿Qué le gustaría traer? Cierre la coordenada USAFES y que todo eso se haga en los Estados Unidos. Y las empresas españolas están dando siempre nos han dicho que esto del dumping, por lo menos penalizan la aceituna española que está sometida a unos aranceles absurdos, ¿no? Incluso el Ministerio de Educación ha denunciado esa práctica. Pero hoy está sacando un tema del dumping, que no es que los niños de la Unión Europea están haciendo subsidios a esos franceses. Trump los ha dado. Y eso la Unión Europea nos ha considerado. Eso hay que hablar con los de trabajo. Pero a mí me llama la atención esta cifra.
Saqué la cabeza.
Unas trabas al comercio que equivalen a aranceles que no son aranceles. Son algo que es 100 años, han puesto una cifra. Y esa es la diferencia. Y no, desde luego, tenés que ver ¿cuánto valen unos levis en cualquier tienda? Te lo digo yo, un producto típicamente americano cuestan lo mismo, igual te cuestan 10 euros más caros en una tienda española que
O sea, arriba han contado todo, mi Pau.
Muchas gracias a vosotros. Has visto que he intentado mostrarlo, espero que no haya quedado muy cutre.
No, o sea, solo o sea, cuando habla el presidente Trump no puede salir Carolina. No, porque imagínate el presidente hablando. O sea, nosotros, y aparte porque yo estoy en la Casa Blanca, no tendríamos mayor, o sea, aparte. Pues porque evidentemente, imagínate, primero acaba de hablar y segundo no hay nadie más, o sea, el único que ha pasado por acá es el sal de la frontera tampoco, pero no es de este tema. Los secretarios, o sea, Messi, hace absolutamente todos están con Trump, se guardaron con Trump y ya está, y ellos no, pues obviamente no salen a hacer los famosos gaggles que hacen aquí afuera hablando. Me preocupa un poco la cosa, No, de acuerdo, yo creo que eso fue lo que tenía en la cabeza yo.
How are you? Very good to see you. Nice to see you too. Are you working? Okay.
Alla länder runt om i världen som utsätts för amerikanska importtullar, den är lång och den skvallrar inte om vad som är sådana ting som
Sí le da una perspectiva muy buena de todo lo que pasó. ¿Te parece? Bueno, entonces el secretario Marco Rubio a la derecha de Donald Trump, que me parece una cosa, un buen dato, al lado de Trump, muy cerca, todo el mundo. No vi avance, no vi avance. No vi avance, sino que es que yo estaba en la quinta por, yo o sea, mejor dicho, estaba.
Busy one for you, Harrison.
Mi Pau, entonces, por ahora, entonces con la explicación, como el evento. O sea, solo metamos la explicación de quienes estaban con Trump, además de hacer lo hace el 2 porque el primero, él dice, él tiene una teoría y es que era April Fools o el día de los eso, por ejemplo, me parece una locura, pero así piensa Donald Trump, ¿entiendes? Entonces 4 de la tarde, por obvias razones, y 2 de abril, porque él dijo, si yo lo hago el 1 de abril, la embarramos. Porque todo el mundo va a pensar que es una broma y es una broma. Ese tipo de cosas de color a mí me parece que son para que la gente la entienda un poco mejor. Y lo que hacemos, mi Pau, es mandar 2 shots de tiempo para que sea internacional. No está porque tiene muy bueno. Ellas le dan al tema de la explicación, vas con los gremios y luego si yo alguien me quiere preguntar algo, pues igual está. Igual podemos hablar con Giovanni. Bueno,
Raising tariffs on goods and imports to the highest levels since 2002. President Donald Trump sent shocks with global economy here at the White House on Wednesday, raising tariffs on most imports to the highest level since World War II. President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump sent shockwaves through much of the global economy here at the White House on Wednesday, raising tariffs on most imports to their highest level since 2002.
Alla länder som drabbas av handelsbojkotten som är låg och den innehåller handel som är dels innebär den alla de här länderna stora men utöver så kommer länderna ganska höga handelstullar beroende på sak anser landet tar ut både tullar men också andra
Y luego el adicional es el 20%.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Oh, that's really good. Got it. Just run. Yeah. I've been using this. I'm comparing it with Black Magic on my phone when I've had to. It's good. It works well enough. I mean, my phone's like, but like, you know, but the new ones, like you can throw like the lenses are great. So the nice thing about the Black Magic is it's well, the nice thing about the Black Magic is you can control the ISO and the stuff, right? And it's free. I'm pretty yeah, oh, I see. Oh, that's smart for I don't know about DJI. When I do it on my phone with the DJI mic, though, I use Black Magic. So. Yes. Oh, no. You're totally. I mean, very good work, right? We're all working on our technology. Yeah.
How is everything? I'm good. Good to see you.
When did you arrive?
Last week on Tuesday to New York, so. I am. I'm very tired.
You like New York City?
Yeah, it's so much. But it's like with our channel, they are based in Istanbul. They're basically in the school that they can send you anywhere. Like it's like sometimes it's Ankara, the capital Turkish capital. Sometimes it's Dubai, sometimes it's Washington, and you don't see it coming. And it's very.
And are you going to be here in Washington?
For a month.
Yeah.
Sure. I love that. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
I have that. I just didn't. My boss are like, they want it income. They don't want it on the. Yes. I picked your man.
No, you're good.
I'm going to unmic from during my lifestyle. There's a just go with me, okay? All right.
President Donald Trump sent shockwaves to the global economy here at the White House on Wednesday, raising tariffs to the highest level since World War II. President Donald Trump sent shockwaves to the global economy here on Wednesday's
You're like, why are the mics so quiet? Hanging out.
President Donald
Oh.
President Donald Trump sent shockwaves to the global economy here at the White House on Wednesday, raising tariffs to the highest level since 2002. President Donald Trump sent shockwaves to the global economy. President Donald Trump sent shockwaves to the global economy.
So we are waiting for a very busy day here in the White House. All the world's president here today, and the Treasury Secretary President Donald Trump said that
Carlos, que también habló del tema.
I also tried to represent the Martin Green as he was one of the is because this one just run into my colleagues in the foreign press. I went to talk to about the
Ajá, si nos lo imponen a nosotros, nosotros
the impact that these tariffs will have on their local states and their local economies. I went to ask her if I could speak to her, and she said that she's now no longer speaking to anybody from the foreign press. So the immediate reaction on the White House drive, nothing at the moment, we'll get the Treasury Secretary later on. But yes, it is important to note in terms of the clarification for these tariffs that Canada and Mexico have outside of the wider group of the White House has been forward 20% tariffs, which are affecting most countries in the world, and there's additional reciprocal tariffs on top of that 10%, which are going to be impacting the 60 or so nations that the White House needs to install the world's defenders. Among that is, of course, the European Union, an extra 10% tax on top of the baseline 10% for the EU. I've been speaking to
o sea, el color al final. Bueno, perfecto, me parece.
Whether this level is retaliation from the EU, and the sense that you get there is that early hours will probably some kind of coordination from the EU. That is what tracks from what conversations I've been having with European diplomats and European officials here in Washington. The 20% would be their kind of worst case scenario, the 25% was the worst case scenario. But Europe is unlikely to be happy that this is the level that they've got. Like I said, some of the sources I'm speaking to have got 10% tariffs. They say that this is a good starting point. They say that negotiations are still ongoing, that everything is still on the table, and they're hoping to drive that 10% down. Some of them even looking for a trade deal to be able to get a good and fair trade between the countries. One source that if this nation is sort of a vague answer, but this nation is looking for a reduction in barriers as well as a way to kind of tempt the United States to give this trade deal as well, looking at sectional things as well. So a widespread approach to really depends on the level of retirement potentially inside. Yeah, he was down. He went down there like 10 minutes ago. I don't see him on air, so I don't know where he is.
Entirely seriously. It's not level though. I know it.
Down there already, so I might have See you later. Von der Leyen speaking at 5 a.m.
Sorry?
Von der Leyen speaking at 5 a.m.
She's in China, right? She's in Asia somewhere.
Yeah. So,
that's why it's 5 a.m.
Oh my god, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, you're talking 5 a.m. here?
What I just said on the air was stupid. No, just 5 a.m. roughly 11 p.m. our time.
Treasury's there.
See ya.
See you later.
No, it's a time.
That's what I'm trying to ask as well.
So they say there's no trade with us, but there is. So people.
Yeah, I mean, it's low, but it's still.
Many other countries also. So the question is, 10% or just no? 10%. No.
I also want to know whether it's
He
part
couldn't like push
No, I asked him as well. I also want to know whether that was part of any trade deal, any ceasefire deal that they made with the Russian Jeddah. That's what I'm saying. I feel like they've made that as part of the negotiations in Jeddah, that they would not touch it with any hands.
So I shouted my question to Navarro, but he heard my question, but he didn't.
Most economists have reduced growth 10% increase.
So what is the news about them?
These are also. Except from Mexico. Included reunion.
Which is actually France.
Are they all the countries that for sure? All the countries that deal with
It's hopeful.
Secondary treasury. Okay. That's yeah. No, I just didn't hear.
Most economists think they're having to do tariffs to reduce growth, increase inflation, possibly see the risk of a recession, and certainly calm us down.
But I had a feeling we were going to get yeah.
Most economists have warned.
Harrison, I tried to talk to him.
Most economists have warned tariffs to reduce growth, increase
To jest to, jak oni skalkulowali. Tak, Milka? Nie. Halo? Milko, ja teraz nie mogę rozmawiać, ja zadzwonię do ciebie.
Excuse me, can
What time? Until what time? Hello. Hi. You want to come say hi? This is confirmed, right? Hello. Yeah, I know.
What do you think?
Yeah. He's firing for the camera.
Yeah, just look at her name and type of like.
So George is on his first page.
I'm going to go cover the Palestine protesters on the way back.
First page.
Those are my favorite groups in the entire world. Yeah. I'm
No, he's going to another one. But Marek, that's not our check. It's custom. Okay.
Hello? She's working.
All right, I guess I'll take
Don't worry. There you go.
We have the same one.
Yeah, you do. Are we okay to put logos?
I just put mine. So they don't normally allow it. So I just stick the
It's
garbage.
11 a.m., right, Fraser? 11 a.m.,
No,
right?
PM tonight.
Tonight?
Just some EST, 5 AM Brussels.
11 p.m. tonight.
Yeah. Von der Leyen's response. Sorry.
Mam nadzieję, że środek...
No, tak, mogę i to, jak co zechcecie. Jak ja skończę teraz, bo czekam na sesję. Ale i tak jest środek na
Dobra, dzięki.
This is recorded.
But they're still chatting, you know? Yeah. No, he's not on there yet.
I don't know if they wear flags. I don't think they do flags.
Are you okay?
That is the right way to live. That's what my wife
Yeah, I think he's talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna take some time. Yeah, I'll have you Deixa esse daqui aqui?
Don't like baseball. I know Rick gets pretty well. Okay. And I didn't know what it was. Like, oh, that's funny. Talk for like an hour. You like baseball? I'm like, no, I like it. So I put talking and I got his number and still text him. And he's just like, as I left, I was like, no way.
Well, I mean, they're last year. I have an actual fireplace. Like, it was just incredible. As poor people, a fireplace also does the job.
Well, everything trying to save this as best I can. At the same
Nie Marcin, nie, tylko na
I told him the same thing. He was like, "You train her this week?" So I tried showing her whatever, and she spent more time discussing all right, so this is how we do this. This is how the posting schedule. We tell you, we got to hit every day. This, that. We're going through the training process. Let's focus on that. Whatever at lunch. Yeah. And then she's like, I don't know what it is. People or whatever they're called are. I'm like, well, that's something you should probably know before you want to cover the White House. Like your owner tonight is to walk everybody. They have to identify every site. Like Navarro walked us yesterday, I got a meeting from Navarro. Oh wow, she was just like on her phone. I appreciate your comments today. I was like, who are you? Your friend? Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I never told her. Sure, yes. She's serious. Yeah, big time.
Fair.
If you would say no, I would.
Got texted that they did the voiceover for this thing. Yeah, there's no way. And we had a full minute and 10 of him talking. And the video that they looked at, that was shocking. I never expected that. Yeah, that's I think. Yeah, shit. Oh, for sure.
Hoje é um dos dias mais importantes da história americana. É a nossa declaração de independência econômica do presidente americano dos ministros. Donald Trump chegou pouco depois das 5 da tarde no horário do Brasil. Foi aplaudido por aliados. Donald Trump chegou pouco depois das 5 da tarde no horário do Brasil. Foi aplaudido por segurança do governo e aliados. Donald Trump chegou pouco depois das 5 da tarde no horário do Brasil. Foi aplaudido por segurança do governo e aliados. Nenhuma de nossas empresas podem entrar em outros países, sejam amigos ou inimigos. Nenhuma de nossas empresas podem entrar em outros países, sejam amigos ou inimigos. Tá? O amigo era pior do que o inimigo. Trump disse que tarifas são necessárias para recuperar o que chamou de Trump disse que tarifas são necessárias para recuperar o que chamou de hemorragia dos Estados Unidos e o estresse de recorde de 21,2%. Trump disse então que tarifas são necessárias para recuperar o que chamou de hemorragia de emprego nos Estados Unidos e o estresse de recorde de 2 bilhões de dólares no ano passado. Declarou essa situação como uma emergência nacional e ameaça uma tabela de uma presidente mostrou uma tabela. Ao que ele chamou de tarifas pagado percentual diferente a tarifa monetária. Ao lado, percentual diferente a tarifas monetárias e outros tipos de barreiras comerciais aplicadas nesses países aos produtos americanos. Da coluna da direita, as tarifas que passarão a ser cobradas pelos Estados Unidos. O presidente não deu detalhes de como os cálculos dos percentuais foram feitos. No caso do Brasil, as duas. No caso
caso do Brasil, as duas colunas mostravam 10%. Ou seja, o Brasil cobra 10%, será cobrado 10% de tarifa. Vejam os números, eles são tão desproporcionais, tão injustos. Vamos estabelecer a tarifa base mínima de 10% para outros países. Vejam os números, eles são tão desproporcionais, tão injustos. Ao mesmo tempo, vamos estabelecer uma tarifa base mínima de 10% para as
We are 20%.
Eles são tão desproporcionais, tão injustos. Ao mesmo tempo, vamos estabelecer a tarifa base mínima de 10% para outros países para ajudar a reduzir nossa economia e prevenir ultrapassos. A regra ficou assim: todos os países que fazem comércio para os Estados Unidos. A regra ficou assim: todos os países. A regra ficou assim: todos os países que fazem comércio para os Estados Unidos terão uma tarifa base de 10%. Além disso, cerca de 60 países vão ter uma taxa adicional de acordo com o cálculo feito pela Casa Branca. As tarifas de 10% começam a valer no dia 1 de abril. E as dos países sobre taxa no dia 9 de abril.
Test.
Comunicação com jornalistas antes do anúncio de Trump, autoridades do governo classificaram os países menores e francos. Explicou que eles seguiam restrições e barreiras para proteger as emissões, como manipulação monetária, subsídios e exportações e restrições agrícolas. O professor de economia da Universidade de Colômbia, José Sheikman, explica que os americanos devem, primeiro, sentir o professor de economia da Universidade de Colômbia, José Sheikman, explicou que os americanos devem, primeiro, o impacto professor de economia da Universidade de Colômbia, professor de economia da Universidade de Colômbia, José Sheikman, explicou que os americanos devem sentir. O professor de economia da Universidade de Colômbia, José Sheikman, explicou que os americanos devem, primeiro, sentir o impacto negativo do governo no aumento das ações.
At least I understand they are now. It was like 49 minutes long. And I was just, no, you're fine. And there was like, so I had like added Japan, but also they're tough and active for the movie. I was like, I'm just gonna put that in for the least like kind of fun. Right. I just add a line details. It's terrifying. It's great. You should ask Treasury Secretary why.
Yeah.
That's your question. They're going to give up.
Is he? Okay, so he's coming. Daniel, você já gravou com duas? Você gravou com duas? Oh, he's going to another one. He's going to all of them. I think he just left one and he's going to another, no?
No.
Yeah. He's just going to see. And maybe they're gonna take him out in the other door. They might. Yeah, he's going to another one. Sorry to inform. Is that wrong? I wasn't that well, I think we should see him. Yeah. No, that probably is. Yeah. And then one of the guys. Yeah. I thought it was going, I was so scared. I was like,
President Trump declared a national emergency and he announced one of the most sweeping tariff plans we have seen in decades here. The president talked about this as a means of fairness, but the question is, for allies and adversaries alike, how will they view this? The second shoe continues to fall already as other countries are watching this. Retaliatory tariffs that could hit all sectors of the American economy, from the ag sector to the lumber sector, to the pharmaceutical sector, and more. This is how President Trump described it.
Here to the mic.
You're waiting for me? Yeah. Many decades there, the president said, and that is that at least the World War II era, you have to go back to this type of trade policy that is going to again. Jake, the fallout from this is far-reaching as other countries are learning what these retaliatory, what the reciprocal tariffs will be. They are sure to respond with retaliatory tariffs. A few examples here. U.S. already has the tariffs on China. Now, in addition to the 34% that was announced this afternoon, a 50% tariffs on China goods. Think of what that's going to do to the economy. So there is so much concern, really, throughout the economic company involvement. We'll stay here. Senate Republicans on the Budget Committee were meeting with the administration to discuss the tariff announcement, along with the budgeting plan. Is designed to extend Trump's tax
Miałam rację. Pesem potwierdził Bloombergowi 54.
Plus. To Unia Europejska 30.
No właśnie nie wiem. No właśnie nie wiem. Nie wiem.
Oi, Dani. Alô? Mas agora? Não, mas Daniel, agora eu tô esperando, tá chegando o secretário de Comércio e do Tesouro aqui. Mas não vai, mas não tá chegando. Não chegou, Daniel. Só que pra gravar, eu tenho que sair daqui. Não, eu vou indo então lá dentro buscar o meu equipamento pra gravar. Dá um segundo, vai demorar um pouco.
Chyba nie. Why would they put that on the national? Plus the 20 that or like include next to like yeah, it's already 25. But just but asterisks for like Sentinel.
We have just 2 questions, please.
Hey guys. You have kids? I have 14. Oh. I have 2 daughters, 9 and 6. Yeah, exactly. Just so they could be like, the star yet.
If they don't, they're probably
You don't think so?
Secretary Ludnick, come gaggle.
Hey,
Come say something. Come on. Come say hi. We'll get him when he's done with that.
Ja wiem, no więc jest 20.
So I guess the timing's best if they come out, we might get them, and we might both dodge. We might time for both of those to be done.
I'll tell you more.
I thought it was super great. You gotta get a full
Mixed priority.
I like the tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure yet. Try.
Yeah.
5:30?
No, it depends. I will know tomorrow because it depends on the man for the night. So I can do tomorrow, but it's gonna be. I definitely there at 7. Not sure if earlier.
Yeah, they're totally on time.
Too late.
Monday's fine with me.
I have to.
7 or 5?
7 or 5 days. I work is like the prime time. So, but let's
Maybe you can join.
Why don't you leave? Let's tomorrow meet again later or later. But I'll try to come tomorrow. Hopefully earlier.
Wanna do mornings? Like, Monday morning or like, actually, no, I can't.
Let's try tomorrow. Like, but why don't you say tomorrow at 6? Because at 6, if I get late, I don't have to. No? Which one? Yeah. Okay. What's it? No, he's there.
It's lovely.
Oh. I talked to him earlier.
Yeah, then it goes straight.
But I mean, but he gave me information on what to try to play. It was very kind. Back from our top, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I tried to tell everybody before, but they know.
I feel like they know
I'm that old, I wasn't expecting this. Yeah, this is very sweet. How many times have you gone?
We have a gig here, hopefully.
Okay.
I think they're going to time him with him finishing. So either we'll be professors or we'll get one or the other.
Okay, it's now or never, guys.
Not at all. I'll take one. We only have 1 or 2 days.
Oh no.
Another one?
I think Sean wants to come back to this team. I guess that's
Mr. Secretary, come say hi. Hello. Come gaggle.
Mr.
Secretary.
How you
Come on
feeling,
over.
Mr. Secretary?
突き出せば大丈夫です。
Alô, alô, 1, 2, 1, 2. Tá com bateria?
Não, é pra testar o nível.
Tá bom. Você quer que eu fale mais longe? Aqui? Any questions? Anybody? I think they were not bad. You know, it wasn't a good list. Good.
Hillary doesn't have. Does he get married? Oh, I should know that basically. With the S, I was one of the lawyers for and I tried to like yell a question at her. It's like lingerie.
To przecież to możesz tłumaczyć.
Okay. I actually like it. I mean, maybe not for inauguration. But like, if you were, you know, a stripper, I know. Just talking about what's his name? Don't give no, that's the opposite. This is face. Right, so it would be added, like, well, let's go back to what they were saying. All that's out there, so like the 50%, and then you do like they get added in. Yeah, sorry.
But don't be
But also plus 248, or you know what I mean? Because there's so this was
Nobody's right. The internet's not forever. Oh, anyway.
Right. Sorry. Okay. Well, I will ask, no matter what, if they're looking for but like, you know, a solar cell that compares to 111 still has that. But anyway, but I'll check some. Okay, thanks. Okay.
Pra isso aqui agora não. Não, o meu rapaz não deve. Não, acho que tranquilo. Vou ficar aqui agora. Acabando, é uma coisa de cada vez, tá? Não dá pra fazer tudo. depois você responde. Fala que talvez. Fala que eu já falo, que a gente tá esperando. Fala que o secretário tá chegando, a gente já responde. Vamos tentar fazer de dentro, Daniel, com aquelas placas, né? Pode ser na mão mesmo.
Ah, mas eu preciso de tempo para ajustar.
Tá bom, mas pode ir assim mesmo, assim ó.
Não, eu preciso pegar o live.
Tá bom. Vai dar certo. A gente dá certo. A gente tem 20 minutos, dá tempo. Ele já tá acabando ali, né? Wrap it up. Tá vindo. Ou não? Tá bom. Vai indo lá montar se você quiser e eu faço o telefone aqui. Ele fica pronto, vai falando com ele e eu vou lá na hora. Se eles estão pedindo pra você montar. Daniel, they know what? Stay there. Vamos fazer aqui. Faço pra você. Se ele chegar, a gente para. Deixa eu falar com a Carol.
Gemma, you could hear this because your mom deals with a lot of different things at work.
Good. See ya. So I guess you haven't heard anything about live chat. They have one. Yeah. Let's do a second live chat here.
I'd love to stay a little more.
You gonna talk to them?
Finally, when you were leaving, then I started walking. So they asked me to stay a little longer.
Okay.
You're the best. You're the best.
Yeah, so I guess put a bar. It's already 7 o'clock. We haven't said anything about it. But I get to every time I've been called in the middle of the night. Hey, can you do the live chart? I don't answer my phone. I've done it on the hill. They don't book you as much. Usually they'll like try it once. On the hill, they'll call me 15 times. Hopefully you get out here soon. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I'll see you tomorrow.